What I'm doing today is I'm seam sealing this one seam in the firewall, but since we're going with a nice paint job on here, I want the seam sealer to look nice as well, and that can be a challenge. But what I've done here to start with is I've taken some 1/4" fine line tape, and on both sides of that seam, I have laid an outline out with the 1/4", and then I've come back with some 3/4, I guess this is 3/4, and went outside that seam and followed my pattern. And now I'm gonna go back in and pull this inside seam out, and that's gonna reveal the area that's actually going to get seam sealer on it. So we're basically gonna start down here, and we're gonna pull out this 1/4" right here on the top side, all the way down. Removing the tape's the most satisfying part, which we got some tape down below this seam. We'll get it out. And I know it's a waste of tape, but sometimes it's the best way to get good lines. And just like that, that gives us the reveal of the area where we're actually gonna have seam sealer. Now I'll do a little bit more surface prep right here. Just come back with some Scotch-Brite and make sure it's good and clean. And then I'll start putting seam sealer in. So I'll be back with y'all here in a second when I get my seam sealer prepped. Okay, so I had to run back because I grabbed the wrong seam sealer. I grabbed a control flow seam sealer, but I'm doing this seam sealer on a vertical surface, and that control flow would have just ran down. This is a non-sag. Surprise! Yeah! This is from a company called Kent. The local body shop, Killian's Collision, where I used to work, they keep all this kind of stuff in stock because they use it on everything every day. This is a gun. It's made specifically for this style seam sealer. This is a 2-part, and it goes in the gun like so. Maybe if I can get the thing in there like it's supposed to. And then it has these tips. I don't know if you can see inside that, but it mixes the 2 parts inside this tip. So anytime you're using a 2-part epoxy or adhesive or seam sealer or glues, you gotta break this tip off the end. Oh yeah! Pretty easy. It's got a little divider that separates the 2 coming out of the gun. The tip screws on there, and you wanna be sure you purge this. So you're gonna wanna pump a bunch of this through this, not a bunch, but enough of this through this tip so that it allows it to be good and mixed when it comes out. So your first 2 or 3 pumps of this are gonna need to just kind of go in the trash can. So that's what I'm gonna do now, is purge this out. And then I'm gonna work small sections. I have extra tips, and I have some small, we call these acid brushes, and it's just a little paint brush that's used for things like this, and they're disposable. So I've got 10 minutes to work it once I start mixing it. So I'm gonna focus on sections and get them knocked out so I can make sure they look nice, and then I'll move on to the other section.
That's what I would do.
You want your mic?
Did you know he's behind the
No.
He's been there forever.
So I'm gonna show y'all here about how much I'm gonna run out of this. You can see it kind of coming in that tube right there. And I'm gonna do 1 pump, 2 pump, and relieve the pressure. That way we can go over to our work area. So I've also got me a small Bondo spreader and some 40 strength lacquer thinner. And I'll show you what I'm gonna use those for once I get this on here. But let's go ahead and start getting it applied. My goal is just to get it in that seam. I'm not trying to get it on crazy thick, except like here in this corner, there's a gap, but for otherwise, we just want it to seal up this crack and not look like crack. And you can always add a little more if you want. So we're gonna start with just that. And I know I look like I'm rushing around, kinda am. And then I'm gonna just spread it out as nicely as I can. Try to make it evenly cover, and I think I'm gonna need a little more. And it doesn't have to be crazy thick. I just want it to be a nice, clean, even thickness line as much as possible. All right, so now I've got it kind of spread out how I want it. Now I'm gonna come back with my brush, and I'm gonna dip this brush in this 40, and that'll help the seam sealer not stick to the brush, and it'll also help smooth it out. And I'm just trying to get it as even as I can get it. Sorry, I'm not talking. It's hard to talk and think. Can't chew bubble gum and walk. All right, so I got a fresh tip on here. I'm gonna bust out this side, and y'all can come along. Wes, speed it up now. So if you get a few drips like this, don't panic, just finish doing what you're doing, and before it all dries, get some of your 40, dip you a little rag in it, and you can wipe it right off. And it cleans right up. And anywhere else you have any that matters, it'll come right off. And there we go. That looks nice.
Shoot, I think we have finished painting.
I've got it laid down. It looks nice. The lines are real good and sharp. I may come back before we actually paint it, hit it with some like 320 just on a couple of little rough spots. It's hard not to get them, especially with the non-sag. If you're not doing it on a vertical surface, you can use like a control flow, and it does really good. You don't have to brush it or anything. It lays down really smooth. But I'm happy with how this turned out, and that just gets us one step closer to getting this truck painted. Chase has got engine parts. Hopefully our head should be ready next week. So hopefully within the next week or two, we'll start getting the engine, the power plant put in this truck, and we can start putting it back together and fighting with turbo stuff and things like that we don't know anything about.
You know what was
Speak
good?
of the devil,
You know what was good today?
the garage sale.
We made a couple bucks, and maybe we can buy a part or two.
Show that bankroll.
You want to see what we made?
Show that bankroll.
We're gonna see what we did today. Boy, look at that!
Look at that
boy.
bankroll.
Garage sale balling. You know what I mean? Gary V, what? Garage selling.
I'm in this bond. It's the best. I live for this.
I like it. I like it.
He loves Gary V.
I like it. Yeah, look at them stacks. That's not just ones. There is some hundreds in there. We made about 2K today.
Did it make you happy?
Yeah, because we're gonna empty that room out, and then that room is gonna be something else.
Something else that makes us happy.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, guys. So that's the progress this week on Old Mac. I hope you enjoyed. Remember, do what makes you happy. Click that like button. Click that subscribe button. Follow us on all our other social platforms. And check out our merch store. We'll see you on the next one.
Not this shirt. You can't buy this. This is OG.
OG. Holla.